Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Microdose Your Wellness. In this episode, I interview Julie Gile, who's a photographer. Julie recently wrote an article called How I Played Small and Won Big. The title captured my attention because playing small and winning big don't really go hand in hand. I could not wait to read it and figure out what she meant. And when I read the article, it was so vulnerable and so raw and so real that I couldn't wait to talk to her and get more insight into what she meant about playing small. She talks a lot about setting boundaries, how she gave so much in an early career, and really what playing small meant to her. I challenge her a little bit on that because I don't know that she actually did play small. I think that she set boundaries in a way that many people don't, and it's really impacting her life in a very, very positive way. And with that, Julie Gile. Hi, Julie. How are you today? How's it going?
Yes, loaded question these
I know
days.
it is a loaded question at this time, isn't it?
It's going well though. I'm here in Wisconsin, so it's finally warming up and being able to extend our quarantine outdoors is really, really helpful without getting frostbite.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. It makes me so glad to not be living on the East Coast anymore where there's snow and I've been able to take advantage of some warm weather. So I'm glad to hear that you guys got outside today and took advantage of the
Yeah.
springtime, which is
It feels like a really exciting time of year to be able to be more present with nature though, I think too, because there's so much changes. And even for you in California, there's so many things budding and growing and blooming and
totally. I mean, I think it's so interesting because I just read something this morning where people were, in this time really taking that opportunity to connect more with nature and being outside. And I mean, I see a lot of people walking and, walking. The dog is probably sick and tired of getting walked like 50 times a day. It's like, come on, Sparky, we're going for it. And, or going out on a bike ride. I'm like, I feel this like call to, buy myself a bike.
Yeah.
But, even just taking walks and breathing in like that fresh air and getting outside I didn't take enough advantage of it. Even when I was in Los Angeles, it was like just all right, you're so focused on like running from point A to point B. And I think it's been so nice to slow down and connect and be outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope we continue to embrace that as things
I do too.
transition.
I
Yeah.
do too. I think, just there is an element of, slowing down and, in Chinese medicine, I always talk about that, but, it's like nurturing the yin element, our yin essence, and just really getting in touch with ourselves and going, it's introspective. And I think, I don't want to say use the word forced because I think that that has kind of a negative connotation, but I think, it's just that like we're encouraged to go inward during this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. We have the time and the space to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So were you able to take any photos outside today?
I did take some. Yes. We went to a river just a couple minutes from our house. So I did take some photos today. It was
That's
beautiful.
amazing. So you guys, Julie is an amazing photographer, and that was one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to her. And she is an entrepreneur as well. So, how did you get into photography? Because that was not your first profession.
It was not my first profession. I have a degree in landscape design and horticulture. So I've been doing landscape design since my very first job when I was 14 years old, working in a local nursery, and I loved it. And I was working for a nice, large, a big small company in the Bay Area of California. I loved it, absolutely loved it. And things really shifted in my life. My mom was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. I was pregnant with our second child, and everything kind of came together in a smash. And I had this job that was very, very supportive on the outside, but I was, trying to keep my mom alive. And she ended up moving in with us, and she brought like 3 animals with her. And I was pregnant with my second child and also taking care of a toddler. And it just got to the point where I was so squeezed in the middle, and then squeezed with grief and being pregnant and knowing my mom wasn't going to meet my second child. I just, I really crashed. And I ended up picking up a camera and starting feeling like, okay, I can keep part of her if I take pictures and tell stories, her hand on my belly, or her snuggling my 3-year-old, or whatever it was. I felt like I could actually, yeah, I could actually keep part of her. So I felt like, that was how I could exist. That was how I could still breathe. I call it like my snorkel, because it was a way I could still be present yet not let my emotions fall out on the floor, like, all my organs and or something like that. Um, And I just got to the point too with my job where I couldn't give to anybody else anymore. And you and I were talking about this the other day. It was a really stressful time. I loved my job, I really did, but I was so I was so smashed in the middle. I couldn't give to anybody else anymore. So I ended up doing more photography because it was what made me feel alive, and then it's just snowballed from there.
That is amazing. I mean, that whole story of, just keeping an element of your mom. And I'm sorry to hear that you had to go through that to find, what is now, your purpose and your passion and, your livelihood. And you're so good at it. You had, you're not like formally trained. You just picked up a camera and started to like shoot photos, and you just have this like natural proclivity towards taking pictures.
Yeah, I think, and as I've needed to, I've picked up classes along the way that have helped me fill in the gaps of things like classes on lighting and classes to kind of up level my game. But really, I think the talent in the photography from where I grew was personality and connection, because your story comes from some kind of spark, and it might have been a spark that burned the house down and you had to regrow, or it might have been a spark that ignited something brand new somewhere along the line. But there's a spark in that story. It might be a spark of love, it might be a spark of passion or creativity for your business or a side hustle, or something. There's a spark somewhere. So I think what I love about how I connect through photography is I look for that, and I encourage that with the people I work with too.
Yeah, and I think that's beautiful. And to me, your career with photography was born out of this spark. Your why was born out of this, sort of desire to keep, not sort of desire, it was a desire to keep your mom as part of you, as part of, your
Yeah.
child's life. And I think that that's really beautiful. I love that you've carried that through, and it shows in your work. I mean, it's so evident when I look at your photos, and I see the people, in the photos. It's like, there is a story. You are such a good connector and a storyteller with those people and bringing that out. Um,
Thank
which
you.
I think is, I mean, that's a huge gift. It's hard to do. So, kudos because you do it really well.
Thank you.
And I know that you have this, big sort of business. You have these, you have these big dreams. We all have these huge dreams, right? Like it's, I want to be, whomever. I want to be Beyonce. She's taken, so I want to be somebody else. But maybe Oprah. Just kidding. But maybe a culmination of the two. Michelle Obama. Anyway, shooting really high. We have these, huge goals for ourselves, and I think that you had this realization sort of recently where it was like, oh my God, I can't do it all. And it kind of ties back into that I couldn't give anymore in your last job. You just kind of reached this breaking point. I mean, that's burnout, in a
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
that's how it showed up for you. And you just wrote these beautiful series of posts on, what you called playing small. And I don't necessarily look at it as playing small. I was like, she just recognized her boundaries. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about that thought process, because it was the posts were so vulnerable and so real. And I just connected right to it. It was like, I get it. You want to, just hone in on your craft. And I thought it was just, I want to acknowledge that, but I want to talk about it a
Oh,
little bit more too.
thank you. I
Yeah.
just got I just got huge goosebumps from that. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually in Portugal when I was on assignment in Portugal when I wrote that. I sat down one day and I just blasted the whole thing out in like a half hour. And it's a blog post called "I Played Small This Year and Won Big." And it's really talking about how I just get, I mean, I must get 10 emails a day with people talking to me about how, like, you can have a $100,000 month if you just do this. And, you can do this. And why are you not making the most of your time? Or you could be more productive if you did this. And like, bam, 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 bam. And I feel like I've tried on those suits and they just don't fit for me. And there's a lot of reasons why. And the more I get kind of agitated and pushed, and they try to sell you to the vulnerable points about you and feeling like a failure and all this kind of stuff. And I finally was like, the harder I push to get more productive, the less I like my work, the more my family suffers. I think one of the big points that I brought in my article was diapers. I said one of the reasons I played small was diapers, and I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year old. My 3-year-old is very close to being out of diapers. But it's a super precious time. I mean, like any mom knows, it's a disgusting time. Nobody wants to deal with diapers.
No, I've never changed my niece's diaper. She's 2.
Never.
Oh, once, but it wasn't a poopy diaper. I won't. I'm like, okay, where's my brother? Where's my sister-in-law? But I mean, I can understand, excuse me, from a parenting standpoint,
Yeah.
why. I mean, it's just, it's sort of the end of a chapter, and it's like, I
Yeah.
can't ever get that back. So I can understand, excuse me, why. I'm going to go ahead and take a sip of water while we're talking. I'll let you talk now.
Yeah, it's understanding that there's a milestone that's graduating, and I could throw my kid in daycare and I could work and I could achieve all those amazing things, but nobody could ever get me back the time when my child is still in diapers. And that's really important to me. I just, another point I brought up was I would rather have 20 amazing clients and nurture the heck out of them and grow my business that way, either from referrals from them or continued work for them, or referrals or whatever it happens to be, rather than putting all my energy out there on Instagram trying to find people that I don't know, or creating some kind of funnel system to bring people in to sell them something quick and then have them leave. I mean, it's like going on a date and never making eye contact for me. I love to be part of
Story of
the
my life, Julie,
process.
but yeah, no,
Yeah.
but I love that because, and I really think it's, your boundaries and, really setting, like really getting to know yourself and like what is truly important to you. Because I think it's, you are a mom and that was something that's important to you. That's something that you wanted in your life. If you wanted to have $100,000 month, you'd make that happen. But, to your point, what's suffering to get to that? And, it is about balance and harmony. And, you have to, it's the give and take. And, I think that you were very solid in the choices you make. And I think that's huge. And I was like, oh, I get that why you called it playing small, it's not this like shoot for the moon, but it kind of is, because you are able to have what's important to you. And I think that is so huge and so awesome that you made that happen, that you are making that happen, and that you're very aware of it. Because I think a lot of people aren't. I mean, it takes us a while to twist and turn. I know that when I talk to clients, if it's a job search or health stuff, what's important to you? Like, what is your goal? It's hard. I know I have a hard time with that too. So, I
Yeah.
mean, kudos. It's huge.
Yeah, thank you. I think what you said I really liked about what's going to suffer. I mean, what's going to suffer if I have $100,000 a month? There's a lot.
Hmm.
When you have children, there's a lot because they need you a lot, and your husband and things like that. I mean, what's going to suffer? Your mental health. I mean, yeah, I could stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning, and I did. I did for the first couple of months I was doing this. I was jamming, hanging up to 1 o'clock in the morning, and my body suffered tremendously. I mean, I talk about that in the article: aches and pains, joint pains, like trouble sleeping, really short temper, lashing out at my kids, constantly distracted. I mean, is that having lost my mom, I felt like I never got enough time with her. Do I want to be that mom? I mean, that's a super tender subject for me. Super. I don't want to be that kind of mom or that kind of friend. No.
I don't blame you. I mean, I've done that in quite a few of my corporate jobs where, I was, like the people pleaser and, all of the things. Like I'll stay up till, 1 o'clock in the morning. Not really. I actually really like to go to bed early. I'd rather get up early and like start jamming at 5 a.m. But, regardless, like whatever sort of boundaries or you're allowing or you don't have those boundaries, it's just like you have this like ideal of, oh my gosh, I have to make all this money. I mean, I did that early in my life, and I
Right.
was the burnout was, and what happened to my body, those aches, those pains, the inflammation. I had high
Yes.
pressure, one time. I have like the
Ah.
lowest blood pressure ever. It's like 110 over something. People are like, are you alive? I mean, it's just like, so
Yes.
when it was high, it was just kind of like, holy shit, this is like, I have to take stock into what's actually important to me. And it isn't, yeah, I mean, like, look, I like making money next, like the rest of us, but it doesn't have to be this like high powered, like I have to get everything. And like, it's not for me. So
Yeah, I totally agree. And I just was really moved to say something about it's okay.
yeah.
It's okay. Because I mean, even today, I went through it and I clicked unsubscribe from probably 6 or 7 different, podcast or whatever about productive. Are you making the most of your COVID time? Like, it's getting towards the end. Are you doing the most as you could? And it just doesn't matter to me. That really doesn't. And I think that's okay. And it's okay to talk about that.
I love that. What are you doing during your COVID time? I mean, we talked a little bit about like you finally got outside to go for a walk. It's springtime in
Yeah.
Wisconsin. What are you doing to, kind of stay sane and healthy and, nurture your business and nurture yourself and nurture your kids and just how does that all work?
Awesome. I hired a VA, which has
Ooh.
been a tremendous gift on so many levels, because she gives the consistency to my business that I can't right now. And the reason I can't is because I have children full time, which is
Hmm.
really, really hard. So she gives the consistency, which is huge, worth every penny I've ever, the best decision I've made. And it's not that she's producing a lot, but she is consistent for me,
Hmm.
and I can't be. So as far as the business goes, I do a lot of communication with her, and then I communicate with clients that come in. But realistically, it's probably 1 to 2 hours a day of business work, and the rest of it is time with my family. And I do a photography class in the morning, or do some kind of photography art to myself in the morning, some kind of self project, or outside photography, or something to keep my creativity going.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be hard because are you able to do any photography while this is going on? I mean, obviously that's got to be really hard.
Yeah, you can photograph people with certain lenses that you can maintain a 6 foot distance. So in the next coming weeks, I'm starting to get back out and do that more. So I'm looking forward to that. Really, the people connection is huge for me, and I think people are looking to feel that spark for their businesses. I do a lot of brand photography, so people are looking forward to feeling that spark for their business again. So that's and people that are out there doing consistent communication with clients are the ones that are coming ahead in all of this too. So,
Yeah.
um, I play a big part in that for a lot of small companies around here.
That's awesome. I love that.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if people are looking to set boundaries or kind of have this sort of, I call them head out of ass moments, other people call them epiphanies, but whatever you want to call it, this sort of, oh my gosh, recognizing burnout, like setting those boundaries. And, again, you call it playing small, but it's just, this is how do you craft your life in that way? If you were to give anybody sort of tips and tricks on, I know it's sort of like, is there really a playbook to get started? One, recognize your burnout, but, you know,
Yeah.
was there sort of a prescription that you followed? Was there just sort of like, I can't deal with this anymore? How did you do it?
I think it it was a lot of visits to doctors who couldn't find anything, or it was stress related, or it's nothing, or it's all in your head. There was years of that.
Mm-hmm. Hi,
uh,
been there.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
right.
Naturopath,
Oh,
functional medicine right now. I mean, God
right.
bless the people on the front lines. No disrespect to Western, but yeah, for this kind of stuff, when it's just like you feel like shit, you're just like, I
Yeah,
don't know. I'm not the doctor. I didn't go to medical school, much to my parents' chagrin. I didn't do that, but like, I need help figuring this out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't help but tell people that that's intuition. I mean, that is your intuition. That's
Mm-hmm.
the start of your intuition telling you that it's trying to hello. And for me, meditation is the way that I am developing a stronger relationship with my intuition. I meditate at least a half hour a day, if not a
Good
second
for
time.
you.
Oh my gosh, it's so good, because my moods were the biggest thing. I was snapping at my family and my kids. I was never feeling like I had enough time, never had enough space. I never had enough of anything, because I was just feeling constantly shorted. Um, no matter what, no matter if I had an entire day to myself, I was just feeling shorted. So those were the signs for me. And especially when I was going through grief, that was so hard. It was so hard to not feel like that I could give anything to anybody else.
I know that feeling so well that it just, you feel depleted. It's
Completely, all the time.
you're done. And that's in Chinese medicine, it's yin deficiency. Your adrenals are toast. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just like there's no firepower left in your body. It's just like I'm done. And it takes so long and so much nurturing to really bring that back up to where you're like, okay, I cannot snap at people. I'm not going to be an a-hole to every single person I come across. Like, it's hard. And I mean, that's such a symptom of something actually physically inside, like going on, and people don't necessarily recognize it. So kudos to you
No.
for starting the process of, doing it and how you were able to pivot.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It took a lot of time, and really what it boiled down to is, how can I get a better relationship with my intuition so I can figure out what I need more? Because obviously there's ha- boatloads of doctors who can't figure it out, right? It's got to be you. It's got to be you. You're the only one that knows. And that's just really what I've just finally run into the concrete wall enough times. It's like, it's got to be you. I mean, you've been there. You've known. I know what it was like to lose my mom and how hard that was. Like, uh, so I started the meditation as a way to just really connect with myself and give myself breathing room to find what I need. And that has just helped me a lot. So what I would recommend to anybody, struggling with some of this stuff too, is find whatever it is. I mean, meditation doesn't always work for people, but maybe it's yoga, maybe it's lighting a candle and just sitting in quiet. Maybe it's a walk in the woods. I mean, maybe it's a combination. And even when I was in this routine of doing great and loving my meditation, like when all of this first couple of weeks of the pandemic was happening, I was like, why is my routine of self-care not working?
Oh my God.
So there's
Yeah.
times when you have to really step up your self-care, and that was frustrating for me. I was like, okay, check off the list. I got the ticket. Like, I'm doing my meditation. I'm doing my meditation. And then the pandemic hits. Like, why is it not working? You have to do more sometimes. But it really just opens up like just a communication channel with yourself to figure out what you need. And the more I do it, the louder my voice gets, the better everything is getting.
Well, and I think that that probably also helps you tune into your clients even on a
Yes.
deeper level and really just help them. I mean, you're really good at drawing them out. And so if you're not able to do that for yourself, then how can you do that for other people? And you earlier in the conversation you were talking about, the more you push, the more things became contrived. You didn't like your work as much. And I think that, being able to clear out all of that sort of negativity or that, just whatever's taking up space in yourself kind of
Right.
provides some insight. I always say scarcity provides clarity, and not a scarce mindset, but just, when things dissipate, when things just clear, it creates a clearing, and what is going to show up for you. And so I think it's beautiful that you're able to do that for yourself, and that you were, quickly, I mean, 3 weeks into the pandemic, we're got what, 8 weeks in now. I don't even know. I don't know what day it is. I do finally have new clothes, which is really exciting. Not wearing winter clothes anymore, but I totally lost my train of thought too. But, I think it's, 3 weeks in, you were able to quickly say, like, this is not working for me. I need to step it up. I need to change it up and to pivot. And I think that that is part of this whole process through this pandemic. It's not to like, okay, I'm going to find my routine and I'm going to stick with it. It's like, okay, well, that
Yeah.
may not work. I mean, the world is so
Right.
different. The collective energy of the world is completely different. Sorry to sound so airy fairy, but it's true, right? Like, it's, we're not just one person. How do we show up in a community? How do we show up for the world? How is the world showing up for us? It's going to be very different than it was
Yeah.
8 weeks ago. So I think that that's, you found that out quickly is my point.
Yeah. And there's a lot more. There were several loaves of banana bread that got me there. I'm not gonna
However,
lie.
whatever the vehicle to get you there, also we'll probably need your recipe because I haven't made banana bread yet. I haven't jumped on that sourdough bandwagon. One, it's really hard. I mean, I have to eat gluten-free because I have celiac. So anything that has yeast and needs to rise doesn't work very well on the gluten-free
Yeah.
spectrum. But banana bread, I can get behind some banana bread. Probably
I
will
will
get
send you my recipe.
Oh, good. Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and then when you finally find that balance where you are giving to yourself, I've found just my connection with my clients is so much greater. And it's so much more fun. It's so much more rewarding. And when I can help them find their spark for their business again, set the taxes aside and their social media stuff, and do I need to have LinkedIn, and do I need a business coach, and set all those like big chunky nasty things they don't want to be doing aside, and get them really back to the roots of why they love their business, why they started, and what's their spark for their business, what's their why. And then connect on that, pull that out, photograph that, and show them the pictures and have them say, wow, that's me, that's amazing. And that's a gift when you have the energy to give it.
It is a gift. And helping people connect with their why and also finding, reestablishing or reconnecting with your own why. I mean, I think that, we talked about this the other day, there is it's so easy to sort of veer off course because again, it's like, do I want that $100,000? Like, we all have bills and, mortgage or rent or whatever. And it's like, oh, that sounds so great. But, is that in alignment with who I am, what I want? And I guess that goes alongside with, when you force things, it's not going to show up. Your work isn't going to show up as you want it to show up. I likened it to my hair. Trying to straighten my hair is just, it's futile.
Yeah.
Like it just does not want to be straight. So, it's
Yeah.
like just stop forcing things and just trust the process.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And the other thing I'll add onto that too is this is also season. When my kids are in diapers, and my kids are home from school from a global pandemic, it's a season. And hey, there may be a season where I'm like, I would love to have, triple my income, and maybe I'm planting seeds for that to happen at some point, and then maybe I won't want that. It just, you can always change the season that you're in depending on your circumstances. And right now, motherhood is trumping a lot of what I'm, basing my alignment on, because I'm kind of in the soup bowl with it. But also because it's a really fleeting time, and the kids are not school aged yet. So
Yeah.
yeah. But,
I think that's a good point. This isn't going to last forever. Um,
right.
we don't know how long it's going to last. I think the uncertainty is, driving a lot of people's behavior and decision. Um, but it isn't going to last forever. There will be a time that this is lifted and, we can finally get back to whatever normal is. Normal is going to look very different. I don't anticipate
Right.
very full yoga classes. I can't wait to get
Right.
back to them, but I don't, we're not going to be shaking hands. I don't know that the workplace is going to look the same, but what this is, it's just like everything is, it's change. The only constant in life is change. So, how can you sort of, glide through it instead of being super rigid,
Yeah.
and just not allowing things to happen to you, but just again, like trusting the process. And it's just like, okay, can I be nimble and go along with what is important to me while just, sort of maintaining regular life and not going crazy. It probably didn't make any sense, but that's cool.
Yeah, no, being nimble, that's huge. And just being okay with having your boundaries, being okay with playing small, and being okay with not having to be the most productive you've ever been in your life in
Yeah.
this season.
Yeah. Can you be comfortable with the discomfort? There is discomfort in every, even in the best of times, pre-COVID, there people were not comfortable. They were running on empty. They were doing all this stuff. They were burning out. And, was that it was not comfortable for me. And so learning how to stay, sort of cool as the other side of a pillow, calm, cool, and collected during, you know, periods of, craziness is super helpful. It's like, I want to live my life from a place of calm and ease. I don't want to live my life from a place of anxiety and craziness and fear and feed into that bullshit cycle. And so I think, just getting to the root of your why and just being in alignment with yourself is one of the best gifts that you can give yourself for sure.
Yeah. I had a client reach out to me the other day. She wanted to send me her candle set and have me photograph it, do product photos for her to start a website in her company. And we started talking, and I was asking a lot of questions, and she's like, well, I just ship them to you and you take the photos and send them back. Perfect, we can do that. But the more I got to talking, I was with her and her story, and it turns out that she had had a miscarriage. And this was a time in her life when she had time to invest in those feelings, to feel those feelings and to kind of move those feelings and do something with those feelings. So she created this candle line to kind of honor a sacred space and honor some, sincerity towards loss and grief, and give other people moments of peace, and with a candle line. And it's like, okay, like, this is amazing. This isn't a candle line. This isn't a candle line. This is like a memoriam. This is you processing grief. This is you moving something into the world that's going to give people gifts. Like, this is creating moments. And her tagline is moments that last forever. And it's so much more than that. I'm just so proud of moments like that with clients, and people moving big things in big ways. And to me, product photography, business photography, it's more about that than people realize.
God, it's like therapy.
It is like therapy.
That's
And
amazing.
people create businesses because of that,
Hmm.
because there's some sort of why, there's some sort of genesis that happened in their life to create that. Because why else would you walk away from a consistent paycheck in healthcare to do something like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's, my why is, well, one, I love helping people, but, I had stress induced illness in many, many times in my life. And it was like, I can't do this anymore. And I have to create some awareness around it and,
Yeah.
help people realize that this isn't normal. It's not normal to feel like this feel like crap. Oh, my hair's falling out. Okay. Well, that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They say your ideal client is you 3 years ago.
Oh God. Ooh, 3 years ago. That's a interesting time, but I mean, that's good to know. Your ideal client is you 3 years ago. I learned something. Thank you.
Isn't
I
that
only wish
interesting?
I only wish that we were closer because I would say like, we can do the distance lenses and I need new
Yeah.
pictures
Yeah.
but it's been, I'm so grateful that we have connected in this, funky world. I mean, this is, we connected before COVID, but it's
Yeah.
so lovely and refreshing to talk to you. And I always
Yeah.
enjoy our conversations. And, I do want to ask, like, where can people find you or where, can you let people know where they can find you? Because I mean, you guys, she's incredible. Literally her posts and everything. I'm always like, okay, it's like going to church. I don't Jewish, but whatever that means, it's just I get something out of it. And those playing small, and I just was like, whoa, it was raw and awesome.
Oh, thank you so
Mhm.
much. It really means a lot to me. I am most active on Instagram, which is JM as in Mary, Gile, JM Guile Photography. And I also have a website where you can find loads of my work, and you can contact me through the website as well, which is Julie M. Gile, Gile, JuliemGuilePhotography.com.
Awesome. And I will include that all in the comments. If you guys have any questions or comments for Julie or me, leave them in the
Yeah.
comments below. We will definitely get in touch with you. And thank you so much, Julie. This was a pleasure. I mean, I could talk to you for literally hours.
Yes.
This was just
Next time I come in
amazing.
the Bay Area, we are going to get together.
Oh, yes, for sure. And thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing your story
Thank
and,
you.
talking about how to get in alignment with yourself and really, leading a life that, is important to you and that, with the things that are important to you. So thank you so much for your time. It was such a good conversation and
Thank you.
thank you. And we will see you next time.
All righty. Bye.
Bye.